Hi, how are you? And welcome when we're doing the business astrology. Well, actually, I'm doing the business astrology for the second time. I did talk about Mercury going into retrograde, and it is. And of course, here I am talking away, really happy with everything I'm giving you, to realize that I hadn't pressed the go button, so nothing was recorded. Love a good Mercury retrograde. Okay. But before we get to the Mercury retrograde, which is on the 16th, let's talk first about the other, which is Mars entering Capricorn on the 16th. And Capricorn, we know, is all about strategy and planning. Mars is about energy and the god of war. So Mars is completely comfortable in Capricorn. And that's good because in this sign, the two of them together, we're going to be very persistent and we're going to be very considered and we're going to be very future focused. We are going to need to be persistent and we're going to need to be considered. Because first of all, what we've got on the 16th, on the same day, is we've got Mercury turning retrograde in Pisces, and Mercury is not comfortable in Pisces. Mercury, which is our ability to communicate, is going to get lost in Pisces. We are not going to be able to articulate about what it is that we're trying to say. We're going to lose that skill. We've been enormously articulate with the Aquarius season. Pisces is normally quite articulate, but Mercury in retrograde in Pisces, we're going to lose that capacity. Pisces is very intuitive, it's very empathetic, and it's hugely big picture. Mercury likes a lot of detail and is good with the detail and loves communicating the detail. So you can see that the energy of Mercury and all these details, they're just going to end up swimming, and if not drowning, in the big picture. So it's just going to be carried on currents. So we'll be sitting there thinking, oh, I understand completely what I want to do and how I want to say. We'll get started and we will lose completely what we were about to say, or we'll find that we don't have the language to describe exactly what it is that we wanted to present. Or likewise, we'll be in a meeting and the meeting agenda will just completely shift and everyone will just be off following different ideas. So we're not going to have a highly focused, very directive communication with people. So you might have to allow some extra time for these communications to take place, because lots of people are just going to get lost. And you're going to want to go into the detail, and the details are just not going to be there, or just are not going to sit. And let me just tell you now, if we ever thought that the devil was in the details, this Mercury retrograde in Pisces, the devil is in the details. It's the details that are going to really flip a switch and we're going to forget details. So check, 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 check. If you've got someone you're working with who is highly detail-minded, really go through, make sure everything is ticked and crossed and dotted, because this is the time when the details are just going to be lost. It's not so much, and even if you are articulate with the details, it's going to just get lost in the communication, because the person you're talking to is going to be a little bit more focused on the big picture. So it's just going to take longer. You're going to find yourself going over and over and over again, lots of conversations and details, because someone's not going to pick up on something, or alternatively, they're going to just take the whole conversation in a completely different direction. Now, on the 18th, the sun is going to enter Pisces, and I think it's really, really nice because we're going to be a little bit more compassionate. Aquarians have a lot of empathy, but they don't necessarily have a lot of compassion during the season of Aquarius. But Pisces has both empathy and compassion, so that's very, very nice. The intuitive will continue, the empathy will continue, but big dollops of compassion, and you're going to need the compassion for yourself and your team. You're going to need big dollops of compassion for yourself and your teams, and you're going to have a big laugh every now and then and not take yourself too seriously, because some stuff, particularly details, is just it's going to be trouble. Double check, double check, double check, triple check. Okay. So we're going to go from exploring these new ideas, and we're going to take some of those new ideas that we've had, and now what we're going to be doing is getting greater insight into them. So there's still an exploring, but there's a little bit more of teasing out the idea and trying to make the idea come to life and testing it a little bit more with pros and cons, which is the yin and yang of the Pisces. And so there will be some things about the new idea that we'll need to bring together with other aspects of ourselves, and that again is Pisces. So that's this duality, which is also very, very nice. I'll do a bigger reading on Pisces as in the month, well, the 4 weeks of Pisces, and I'll do that separately. So that will be coming out shortly, but I will do that separately. And that's going to be fascinating to see how Pisces is for us, because it's going to be a very different month. It's going to be a very fluid month, and that's going to be a very interesting component, because we're coming out of Aquarius. Aquarius was many things, but our last Aquarius season was not fluid, and that's a bit of a surprise, because normally Aquarius is quite fluid. It is, after all, water and air coming together, and the water poorer, but it wasn't. It was a very stop-start. Pisces will be influenced by that and will continue, but we should see a little bit more fluidity. So at the beginning, when I think I was reflecting on moving in and what we're leaving behind in Aquarius. Aquarius for me, even with my work, has either been I'm completely drowning in work, or I'm completely in drought, and then I'm drowning, and then I'm drought, and then I'm drowning, and then I'm drought. So it wasn't a fluid time at all. Normally it's quite fluid, but that was the influence from Capricorn, but which is in that video that I did that talked about Aquarius. Now, on the 20th, which is really, really nice, or maybe not nice, because we have to be careful around the 20th, is Jupiter. It's got a sextile Neptune. Again, very comfortable in terms of Pisces. Now, Jupiter is about expanding and exploring, so that sits comfortably with Pisces. And it's a lot about compassion and faith, which is Neptune is compassion and faith, and it's often about what we believe in. But Neptune and Jupiter is also a little bit nebulous. So there might be some things that will come out that we weren't quite expecting. And Jupiter and Neptune are going to want to take our idea and make it bigger. All right, they're going to want to take the idea we're working on and make it bigger. Now, what's interesting about taking the idea and making it bigger is it's going to want to take the idea and make it bigger before we've got any detail to it. So that's one of the reasons why it's okay at the moment not to be able to put that detail to it, because we're going to expand the idea and explore and make it bigger, and that's a good thing to have. And again, it's coming forward with a huge dollop of compassion, and we are going to need that compassion, because it's going to be one of these months, because particularly with the retrograde, it's going to be an uncomfortable one. And the things that are going to go wrong, and there are things that are going to go wrong in this time, and what I mean by wrong is we're going to forget things, or we're going to think this meeting is going to be about X, and then the meeting is going to turn out to be about Y. It's not going to be how we think it's going to be, and that's going to be difficult for us, and we're going to feel frustrated, and that's what I meant by things going wrong. There's going to be one or two details that are going to fall off the agenda and the plate, and we should have picked them up, so that's something to be aware of. But mostly what it is we're going to get a little frustrated because it's not going to be going forward as we would like it. And that's where we need to have a great deal of patience. We have to have a lot of compassion, and we've got to have a lot of faith that it's all going to come together. On the 23rd, which is going to happen not long after this, so you can see it's quite a busy 7 days, we've got a new moon in Pisces on February 23rd. And it's going to be a very interesting new moon, because it's going to be one of those new moons we've had. It's going to be echoing the lunar eclipse, and we're going to be getting rid of things. It's going to be a time when things... we are going to have, we're just going to have a gutful, and we're just going to go, enough, I've had enough, this has to end now, and that's some of the things that's going to be ending. In the personal tarot I just did, I was quite surprised with the astrology, because the tarot is really going to say to us, enough. We're going to feel really frustrated. We're going to be emotionally really, really tested. And I think this is also, you're going to see this in the business context, not so much that you're going to be emotionally tested, but your patience and your capacity for allowing other people to have their space to explore and finish their discussion is going to be also tested. You are going to really feel that your time, your very precious time, you're going to feel a lot of that is going to be taken up by conversations that are really not going to have any ending, not going to have a great meaning. And I want you to just be aware also when we're coming up to this that there you might need to be really clear about your boundaries, about your time, your boundaries about meetings and commitment to communication and how much you're prepared to do, because you're about to have a lot of wastage coming in and people just wanting to talk and explore and be with you and compat about things and trying to get right to the details and to the heart of the matter is going to be very difficult. We are going to have to really work on that. So be aware of time wasters. Be quite compassionate about the fact that conversations are going to be a bit unhinged, unfocused, and go in a lot of directions, and be really aware of details because they could jump up and really bite you. Having said that, though, it's going to be a very interesting time if we've got some new ideas that have been lurking and coming towards us. We're going to be getting some more insights into those new ideas. They'll still be a little bit nebulous yet. They're not ready to come together and be confirmed, but the consistency and the consideration that we're going to get from Mars in Capricorn, we're really going to need it, and it's going to be really, really useful. All right, so that's the business astrology, and then I'll just end this and I'll come back to you with the business tarot. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.